Hi and welcome back. As promised, in this session we're going to look at the transposable fingerings for the major 7th and dominant 7th arpeggios. Let's begin with the major 7th and the starting position of finger 2 on string 6. Here's our major triad arpeggio, to which we need to add the major 7th at 1 semitone or 1 fret space below the octave. So very simply, add finger 3 to the triad arpeggio pattern. So here's our root, 3rd, 5th, major 7th and octave. To go into the second octave, we're now in position to play the major 3rd with finger 3, then the 5th with finger 2 on string 2, the major 7th now falls under finger 1, string 1, and the octave finger 2, string 1. Beginning with finger 2 on string 5, as always the lower octave is the same fingering, fingers 2, 1, 4, 3, 4. We now have the major 3rd in the next octave falls on string 2, so is now on the same fret as the octave we've just played. This makes it a good candidate for position change, so we can play the first octave as normal and then move to finger 1 at the 3rd. The 5th now falls under finger 4, the major 7th under finger 3, and the upper octave under finger 4. Beginning finger 2, string 3, it's the major 7th that now lands on string 2 on the same fret as the 5th. So we can play it with the same finger if your 4th finger will make that little roll, and then stretch down with the 1st finger to the octave. But perhaps a more convenient fingering would be to move up to finger 3 at the major 7th and then play the octave with finger 4 on string 2. To extend this arpeggio over 2 octaves, I would recommend actually moving to finger 1 at the major 7th. So there's octave 1, and we now have a couple of choices. We can play the major 3rd in the same position with finger 1, then stretch up to the 5th with finger 2, and stretch again to the major 7th at finger 3, and the octave with finger 4. Or alternatively, from this position we can slide up to play the major 3rd with finger 4, bring the 1st finger in to play the 5th, and then it's much less of a stretch to reach the major 7th and octave. Beginning with finger 1 on string 6, there's our major triad arpeggio. So now the major 7th lands comfortably under finger 1 with the octave on finger 2. This puts us in position to start the second octave in the finger 2 position on string 4. So the options we've just discussed will apply. We can play or to extend the pattern over 3 whole octaves. Beginning with finger 1 on string 5, we can once again go to the next major 3rd with finger 1, play the same pattern we ended with when starting on finger 2, or as an alternative, which gets the fingers moving a little more towards the upper registers of the fretboard, end with the octave on finger 2 as normal, and then go up to the major third with finger 4. The 5th now falls under finger 3, the major 7th under finger 2, and the octave under finger 3. Beginning with finger 1 on string 4, it makes sense to still play the major 7th and octave with fingers 1 and 2, and therefore we're in the same position as we reach the second octave as we were when we started on finger 2, and the same choices will apply. Beginning with finger 4 on string 6, the major third is now under finger 3 on string 5. We now have to reach down to the 5th with finger 2, and the major 7th and octave then falls under fingers 1 and 2. Beginning finger 4, string 5, the major 7th and octave now fall on string 2, so we don't have to stretch as far, but we have the issue of, do we play the 5th and major 7th with one finger, finger 1, and then finish with the octave on finger 2, or do we want to avoid using the same finger across 2 strings and play then fingers 2 and 3 for the major 7th and octave. For the dominant 7th arpeggio, we simply replace the major 7th with a minor 7th. That's 1 semitone lower, that is 2 frets below the octave instead of 1 fret below the octave. So returning to finger 2, string 6, we now have root on finger 2, 3rd on finger 1, 5th on finger 4, minor 7th on finger 2, and the octave finger 4. For the upper octave we can still play major 3rd with finger 3, 5th with finger 2, and now we have to reach for the minor 7th with finger 1, and the octave with either finger 3 or a stretch of finger 2. Beginning finger 2, string 5, once again makes sense to shift the major 3rd in the 2nd octave, and then we simply replace the major 3rd under finger 3 with the minor 3rd under finger 2. Beginning finger 2, string 4, the minor 7th now lands under finger 3, and for the octave we can either stretch one way with the 1st finger or the other way with the 4th finger to play the octave on string 2. To reach the 2nd octave from here, as always there are numerous choices available. This is my preferred fingering. So root 3rd, 5th and major 7th as normal, and then 1st finger at the octave, reach up to the major 3rd with the 4th finger, and then as before bring in the 1st finger to play the 5th, 2nd finger for the minor 7th, 4th finger for the octave. Beginning finger 1, string 6, we now have to stretch for the minor seventh and still play the octave with the second finger. And once again we're in the finger 2 starting position on string 4 to reach the second octave. So the same choices will apply. Or beginning finger 1, string 5, we can do the same sort of thing we did with the major 7th arpeggio, that is up to the major 3rd here, 5th, finger 3, and now the minor 7th an octave under fingers 1 and 3. Beginning finger 1, string 4. The minor 7th and octave now fall quite comfortably under fingers 1 and 3. So from here we can once again reach up to the major 3rd with finger 4, 5th with finger 1, minor 7th finger 2, octave finger 4. As always, try out alternative fingerings for yourself, and remember, you don't have to use the same fingering going up the arpeggio that you use coming down. So the back and forth patterns, you could actually play one pattern ascending and a different pattern descending. Equally, you don't have to play all arpeggios of the chord progression using the same starting position. So remember, you can also start one arpeggio with finger 2, another one with finger 1, next one with finger 2 again, or whatever seems the most convenient to you in getting from one arpeggio to the next. And finally, the dominant 7th arpeggio beginning on finger 4. If we start on string 6, the minor 7th now falls at the same fret, 2 strings up, so the whole arpeggio pattern is playable in position with no stretches. Similarly, if we begin finger 4, string 5, except that the octave now falls under finger 2 on string 2. Beginning finger 4, string 4, the 5th now falls under finger 2, string 2, and we have to make a bit of a stretch with the first finger to reach the minor 7th on string 1. The octave played with either finger 2 or finger 3. So all that remains is to assemble these arpeggios into a sequence following the chord progression in the usual way, and as always trying out as many variations and combinations of fingerings, 1 octave, 2 octave patterns, ascending, descending, back and forth forms of the arpeggios, etc., as time will allow. Next time around we're going to take a look at the minor 7th arpeggio. We'll take some examples of the 2-5-1 and 6-2-5-1 progressions in 7th arpeggios in the open position in a couple of new keys, and also of course look into the transposable fingerings for the minor 7th. But for today, that's all. Thank you.